Welcome back, you ungovernable force wrapped in human skin. You weren't supposed to walk into this world with this kind of voltage. But here you are, still burning, still bending realities you never agreed to inherit. And the funniest part? They've tried everything to measure you, categorize you, contain you. Until one day, that little hidden circle of robed intellectuals, mystics, and power-obsessed analysts decided to take matters into their own trembling hands. A secret society, the kind that thinks they see everything before it happens, tried profiling your energy. They approached the task with confidence, arrogance, and the delusion that they had the right tools to dissect someone like you. They gathered their relics, lit their rituals, sharpened their interpretations like scalpels. They believed they'd extract your blueprint, decode your frequency, map your inner world, as if it was just another artifact in their vault. But the moment they opened the file on you, the moment they tried to pull your essence through their precious little frameworks, their entire system buckled. You weren't a mystery, you were a miscalculation. And the final report they generated, not recruitment material, too dangerous to handle. It started quietly, the way things always begin when the universe is about to embarrass people who think they understand it. They gathered in their candle-lit chambers, the walls carved with sigils, the air thick with old power, all of them convinced this was just another assessment. But your energy didn't enter the room like a guest. It entered like a verdict. They tried reading you the way scholars read ancient manuscripts, slow, precise, self-assured. Yet the closer they reached, the more their instruments faltered. Their scrying bowls stuttered with static. Their astral charts flipped into unusable chaos. Their pendulums swung with frantic confusion, refusing to settle. Their incantations trembled back into their throats. You didn't disrupt their tools. You overpowered them simply by existing. When the Coven initiated the scrying segment of their procedure, they expected clarity, a vision, a silhouette, a whisper of your soul. Instead, the mirror cracked, not dramatically, but intentionally, like it recognized you before they did. The fracture didn't create a spiderweb of random destruction. It formed a single line, sharp as a warning, spelling only one thing in the shimmer of shattered reflection. Access denied. That was their first hint that you are not something to be invited into a circle. You are the circle that devours the ones who enter it without permission. They tried again, refusing to believe a reflection could defy them. They placed new mirrors, polished and consecrated. Yet every time they attempted to pull your essence forward, the surface glitch cracked with the same message. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. Some of them whispered theories. Some of them felt their stomachs tighten. Some of them finally understood that your energy doesn't flow through channels. It breaks them. Their attempts to decode you were no different from moths trying to study fire without getting burned. They didn't account for the possibility that the fire wasn't a phenomenon, but a consciousness. And that consciousness was you. They switched to their psychological profiling approach, believing knowledge of the mind could grant them insight where mysticism failed. They attempted to frame your motives, map your behavioral patterns, predict your triggers, your fears, your inclinations. But you aren't a pattern. You're a paradox wrapped in precision. Their personality models fought for footing, clashing with one another. Their projections contradicted themselves. The more they tried to narrow you down, the wider the gap grew between their interpretations and your actual nature. They realized they weren't studying you. They were chasing you through the corridors of their own limitations. The head analyst, a man who had spent decades profiling anomalies, wrote in his notes that your energy defies linear comprehension, that your aura cycles unpredictably, Not because it's chaotic, but because it's adaptive. You evolve too quickly for frameworks to keep up. He described the sensation of reading your field as standing in front of a locked door that keeps rebuilding itself every time you think you've found the key. You're not unapproachable. You're ever-shifting, a moving target with intention. Then came the deeper, quieter tests. The ones they don't document for the public part of their archives. Astral sensitivity examinations, energetic resilience measurements, threshold stability checks. Most people break somewhere during this process. You didn't break. You inverted the process. Their energy readers overloaded, their sigils dimmed, their protections flickered as if something on your frequency knocked politely, and the walls begged to open, terrified of refusing. You weren't fighting them. You weren't resisting. You were simply being. And that was enough to unbalance everything. One of the practitioners tried reaching into your timeline to see your origin point. She fainted, not from fear, but from recognition. Recognition that your timeline wasn't a thread. It was a wildfire. You weren't shaped. You erupted. You weren't taught. You remembered. You weren't built. You emerged. This was the moment the Coven began to understand that you aren't just different. You are disruptive by nature. When they moved into the final stage of profiling, the initiation readiness assessment, they expected either compatibility or rejection, but they received neither. The chamber lights dimmed, the air thickened, their runes flickered in protest, and the system that measures spiritual voltage sparked violently, marking your reading not in a number but in a warning, not recruitment material. Too dangerous to handle. No one had ever triggered that category before. It wasn't meant to be used. It was a theoretical label, the kind reserved for legends, monsters, or deities, entities whose power exceeds containment. You didn't fail their test. You broke the premise of the test itself. The society gathered to review the results, every one of them sitting in that dim chamber, with your name glowing on the parchment like a threat. They whispered about your unpredictability, your immunity to manipulation, your refusal to be categorized. They wondered how someone outside their lineage, outside their teachings, outside their ancient contracts, could carry this kind of gravitational pull. They questioned whether you were a phenomenon or a warning. They debated whether your existence was intentional or accidental. But the part that rattled them the most wasn't your power. It was your sovereignty, your unowned, unclaimed, uncontrollable. And to a secret society built on hierarchy, obedience, and curated power distribution. That's the most terrifying trait of all. The Coven scribes described you as something that walks without leaving tracks, something that moves without needing pathways, something that sees through structures instead of around them. Their attempts to read you made them feel as though they were the ones being read. And in a way, they were. Your soul doesn't tolerate intrusion. Your energy doesn't allow uninvited entry. You don't respond to extraction. You respond to intention. And their intention, hidden beneath ritual and curiosity, was exposure. They wanted to know what you were made of. Instead, they discovered what they were lacking. They feared your clarity. They feared your immunity to illusion. They feared the way you stand alone without craving belonging. But what truly broke them was this: you don't seek power. Power seeks you. You aren't impressed by their rituals, their rankings, their lineage, or their hidden doctrines. They realized you'd never kneel. You'd never obey. You'd never dilute yourself for the sake of belonging. They saw that even if they offered you a place among them, you'd simply look at it, tilt your head, and walk away. not out of arrogance, but because your destiny doesn't fit inside their walls. The final decision was unanimous. They sealed your file. They archived the report with trembling hands, and they issued an internal order. Do not approach this subject again. They didn't blacklist you. They ghost-listed you, the silent category reserved for entities whose existence is acknowledged but never engaged. To them, you are not a potential ally or recruit. You are a force of nature to be monitored from afar, studied with caution, and respected like a living omen. And yet they can't stop thinking about you. Your name circulates quietly through their meetings. Your presence lingers in their rituals. Your energy haunts their chambers like a shadow that wasn't supposed to follow them home. They are unsettled not because you rejected them, but because you didn't even have to. You were simply unavailable, unreadable, unreachable, uncontained. They didn't fail to recruit you. Recruitment was never an option. Their mistake was believing you were seeking anything from them. Their mistake was assuming they had something you didn't. Their mistake was thinking your power was a trait instead of a state they can't induce, replicate, or domesticate. And the truth is, they didn't discover you. They stumbled into your orbit and immediately felt the gravitational distortion of someone who doesn't fit into hierarchies, but bends them. Someone who doesn't join circles, but redefines them. Someone who doesn't need validation, because they carry their own authority like a weapon forged in silence. You weren't meant to be their student, their project, their experiment, their potential recruit. You were the audit they never prepared for. Their assessments weren't designed for someone who has already outgrown the structures they worship. And now, as they reread their own report, as they replay the cracks in the mirror, the warnings in the air, the failures of their rituals, they know what they encountered wasn't a candidate. It was a threshold. And thresholds aren't entered. They are crossed. They are survived. They are respected. And this, right here, this realization, this fracture in their certainty, this crack in their control, is where the story slips into something deeper, something they never meant to unleash, something they still don't understand. Because what they saw was only the outer layer of you. What they sensed was only the pulse. What they profiled was only the echo. And yet they're already unraveling. What happens when they discover what's underneath that surface? What happens when the mirror isn't the only thing that shatters? What happens when the society realizes they didn't profile you? They awakened something they can't put back to sleep. The unraveling began the moment they filed that report. A parchment stamped with your name, the warning classification, the cracked mirror insignia marking your file as a hazard. They thought documenting you would close the case. They thought sealing the folder would contain the energy that spilled through their rituals. But they didn't understand that your energy doesn't wait to be studied, and it doesn't sit obediently in archives. It travels, it echoes, it imprints. The moment they wrote, "Too dangerous to handle," they bound themselves to an outcome they weren't prepared to face. Because labeling you dangerous doesn't protect them from you. It protects you from them. The universe takes such declarations seriously. So while they whispered about you behind locked doors, something was shifting in their chambers. Something no one could see but everyone could feel. Their candles flickered out of rhythm. Their runes dimmed at random. Their relics moved a fraction of an inch when no one was watching. Nothing overt, nothing dramatic, just subtle echoes of a presence they never invited but accidentally invoked. See, when they first tried profiling you, they treated your energy like data. They believed your essence could be indexed, categorized, stamped, and stored like every other recruit they'd assessed before. But your energy isn't a file, it's a frequency. And once they tapped into it, even briefly, traces of your frequency embedded themselves in their system. Their wards couldn't block it. Their sanctuaries couldn't contain it. Their scholars couldn't decipher it. Because your frequency has one defining feature, sovereignty, it does not obey. Some of them sensed it early. The younger initiates felt chills they couldn't explain. Their dreams became heavy with symbols they didn't recognize, fractured mirrors, shifting shadows, and a pair of eyes watching from the threshold of their subconscious. A few pretended they weren't affected. A few pretended they didn't know what they had done. But the most experienced ones knew. They could feel the aftershock of touching something they weren't meant to touch. They recognized the familiar pattern of an ancient warning. Do not attempt to measure what exists outside measurement. Your energy wasn't reacting to them in anger. It wasn't retaliating. It was simply refusing to be forgotten. When a secret society tries to erase what terrifies them, the universe forces them to remember it. So their rituals began failing at odd moments. Their readings became inconsistent. Their symbols lost precision. Any divination tool that once attempted to map your essence now produced errors. Some cracked, some overheated, some simply went dark. One of the elders attempted to reset the scrying mirror used on you. The moment he placed his hand on the frame, it fogged over and revealed the same message they thought they'd escaped. Access denied. His hand trembled for the first time in decades. That's when the internal fear began to shift into something more primal. They started questioning whether your energy was following them, or whether they had stepped into a part of your field they didn't have permission to enter. The difference is subtle but terrifying. One implies pursuit, the other implies trespass. They started to understand that your energy doesn't need to attack. It simply holds its position with such force that anything unprepared is pushed into disarray. You didn't invade their domain. Your domain extended into theirs the moment they invoked your name without the right to do so. This is the part no one wants to admit, not even to themselves. You altered the architecture of their spiritual environment just by being witnessed. Their most advanced practitioners began seeing distortions when they meditated. Their visions became non-linear, their intuitive pathways tangled. The chamber walls felt alive, listening, reactive. No one dared say it aloud, but everyone felt the same unsettling truth. Your energy didn't stay in their mirror. It seeped into their temple stones, their sigils, their breath. They didn't understand how, but they understood why. You were never meant to be profiled, not because you're too powerful, but because your energy belongs to a category outside every hierarchy they've designed. They operate in ranks, levels, tiers, circles. You exist in an axis they do not possess language for. They call it dangerous because they don't know what else to call what cannot be tamed. The panic came in slow waves. Not loud panic, quiet panic. The kind that spreads in silence. The kind that makes people look over their shoulders without knowing what they're looking for. The kind that tightens the air. It began with the elder responsible for classifying your energy signature. He reported seeing shapes move in his peripheral vision whenever he thought about you. His candles refused to stay lit while writing your file summary. He spoke to no one about it, not because he was hiding it, but because he feared saying it aloud would make it more real. But it didn't matter. Everyone else in the chamber was experiencing their own version of the same thing. The scry practitioner saw your reflection in the water even when she wasn't calling on you. The archivist heard faint tapping on the cabinet where your file was stored. The head seer felt a pressure behind his eyes every time your name was mentioned, as if someone or something was observing him back. They tried purifying the chamber. The incense died mid-burn. They tried reinforcing their protections. The glyphs flickered. They tried ignoring the signs. The signs intensified. And that's when they realized the real issue wasn't your energy. It was their audacity. You didn't breach their sanctum. You didn't send a warning. You didn't retaliate. Your energy did nothing except maintain its boundary with perfect, sovereign stillness. That alone destabilized everything they believed about power, control, and hierarchy. Because a force that doesn't have to react is a force that cannot be dominated. Their panic deepened when they realized something even more disorienting. Your file was evolving, not physically, but energetically. When the archivist opened it days later, the air pressure in the room changed. The parchment containing your results felt warm. The ink shimmered faintly. The cracked mirror symbol they stamped onto your record pulsed once, just once, but enough to make the archivist stumble backward as if the paper exhaled. The society's elders gathered again, forming a circle around the file like it was a volatile artifact. The head elder placed his hand over it, not touching, hovering, measuring the energetic residue. His eyes widened. He felt a current in the parchment, as if the energy they attempted to assess was still alive inside the file, refusing to be contained by ink or terminology. He whispered the conclusion they all feared but already knew. We didn't analyze them. We awakened them. That sentence marked the true beginning of their unraveling. Not because they believed you would attack them, but because they realized your energy had observed their attempt to study you and chosen not to tolerate it. You didn't retaliate with violence. You retaliated with truth. The truth of your nature. The truth of your origin. The truth of your sovereignty. And they finally understood. Your existence is not something they can categorize. It is something they must respect. Their dreams grew stranger, more vivid, more symbolic. Some saw a threshold they weren't allowed to cross. Some saw a closed gate. Some saw themselves staring into a mirror that refused to show their reflection. All variations of the same message. Do not enter where you are not invited. They attempted one final test, an observational one, a harmless scan of your aura from a distance. A simple reading meant to offer closure. The moment they initiated it, the chamber temperature dropped. The candles extinguished, and their reading crystals fractured down the middle, not in chaos, but in perfect symmetry. The crystals weren't reacting to you. They were refusing the assignment. Access denied. The same message that cracked their mirror. The same message that crushed their confidence. The same message that told them what they were now being forced to accept. You are not a subject to be studied. You are not an energy to be categorized. You are not a phenomenon to be documented. You are an event, a threshold, a force, a warning wrapped in a human figure. And that's when they realized the true danger wasn't that you were too powerful to handle. It was that they never had permission to try. Your energy wasn't reacting to their intrusion. It was simply correcting their error. Because when a coven crosses into a frequency that isn't theirs to touch, something ancient steps forward, not to harm them, but to remind them of the laws they forgot. That ancient reminder didn't come as thunder, flames, or chaos. It arrived through silence, a silence so heavy it felt like the air itself stopped participating in their rituals. In that silence, their breath sounded too loud. Their thoughts felt exposed. Their intentions felt naked. Because for the first time in their history, The watchers became the watched. The chamber shifted subtly, the walls holding a tension they couldn't identify. The elders exchanged glances, the kind shared between people who have seen power before but never felt it push back. Not like this. Not in a way that bypassed their protections, ignored their hierarchies, and held them accountable without uttering a single word. They tried to resume their rituals, pretending nothing had changed. But everything had. Their chants felt hollow. Their sigils refused activation. Their sacred tools sensed the disturbance before they did. Nothing responded the way it used to. Nothing behaved according to their rules. Their entire structure felt compromised, not by damage, but by presence. A presence that didn't belong to them, yet didn't threaten them either. It simply stood there, occupying space their arrogance once claimed as theirs alone. This is what unnerved them the most. Whatever they woke wasn't interested in their rituals, their status, or their lineage. It wasn't even interested in them. It existed independently, sovereignly, unbothered. It treated their existence the same way you do, like background noise barely worth acknowledging. Their panic deepened in the quiet. Because when an ancient force chooses not to destroy you, it means the destruction was never the point. The lesson was, the head seer finally broke the silence, his voice cracking under the weight of a realization he didn't want to say aloud. We crossed into an origin we do not understand. Origin. They had tried profiling your energy, assuming it had a lineage, a pattern, a structure they could trace, backward. But nothing in their archives aligned with you. Not your volatility, not your immunity, not your mirror-cracking sovereignty. Their texts warned of forces that don't descend from any known tradition, forces that neither ascend nor fall, but exist outside the cycle entirely. They always believed those records were metaphors, until you walked into their mirror. Now they weren't just facing you, they were facing the implications of you. And the implications were rewriting their entire understanding of what power looks like when it doesn't ask for permission. Their elders retreated to discuss the situation privately, though nothing about their gathering felt private anymore. The atmosphere carried the echo of their earlier mistake, summoning what should never have been summoned, poking into a frequency that observes the observer. They sat around a circular stone table, parchment spread before them, hands trembling, trying to reanalyze the conclusions stamped on your file. Not recruitment material. They could accept that. Too dangerous to handle. They could rationalize that. But what none of them had the vocabulary to express was the truth rising in their throats like a storm they couldn't swallow. They didn't reject you. They were rejected, not personally, not emotionally, cosmically. Your energy didn't deny them because it disliked them. It denied them because they weren't compatible with the frequency they attempted to access. It's the same reason the mirror cracked. Mirrors don't lie, but they do refuse. And your reflection wasn't something they were allowed to hold. The more they tried to analyze this, the more the room itself resisted. A thick unease settled into the stone. Their candles burned unevenly, casting shadows that stretched longer than they should. Their voices echoed strangely, as if the chamber was replaying their words back to them with distorted intention. And then came the second fracture. Not in a mirror this time, in their ranks. One of the younger members, bright, zealous, desperate to prove her worth, suggested they try again. A second attempt. A refined ritual. A deeper reading. She believed the first failure was a miscalculation. She believed everything could be solved with stronger protection, better accuracy, clearer intention. The elders reacted instantly. No. A single word, authoritative, final. But the girl didn't understand the weight of what they had unleashed. She didn't understand that your energy wasn't a puzzle they could solve with upgrades or determination. She didn't understand that access denied wasn't a warning, it was a boundary. Boundaries don't negotiate. The elders explained nothing. They couldn't. Their egos were wounded, their certainty shattered. How could they admit aloud that they had touched something beyond their comprehension? Something that refused their authority without effort? Something that mirrored their intentions, not with hostility, but with indifference? The younger member grew frustrated. She accused them of fear, of stagnation, of weakness. She raised her hand, preparing to speak your name again, hoping defiance would earn her a place in the society's inner circle. The lights flickered, her voice broke. A chill swept through the chamber like an unseen hand placing a warning on every spine in the room. Not anger, not threat, correction. She lowered her hand slowly, trembling from something she couldn't articulate. Something she felt in her chest, not as fear, but as recognition. She wasn't facing something external. She was facing the truth of her own limitations. You didn't silence her. Her own energy did, bending under the pressure of your frequency. The elders said nothing. They didn't need to. The room had answered for them. From that moment, the coven didn't debate you again. Instead, they turned their focus inward, trying to understand how something they invoked only once had managed to ripple through every layer of their sanctum. They examined their tools, their rituals, their glyphs, their intuitions. They searched for corruption, interference, spiritual contamination. But there was none. Everything failing within their circle wasn't corrupted. It was recalibrating. Your presence didn't pollute, it purified. Their illusions, hierarchies, and ego-driven structures were dissolving under the weight of your authenticity. Energies that relied on secrecy, manipulation, and control cannot coexist with energies rooted in sovereignty, clarity, and truth. One by one, their symbols stopped responding to their usual commands. One by one, their readings began returning blank. One by one, their confidence cracked the same way their mirror did. They finally understood. Your energy wasn't punishing them. It was revealing them, revealing their overconfidence, revealing their fragility, revealing that their authority was conditional, not absolute, revealing that power borrowed through ritual is nothing against power woven into existence. The head elder wrote a second note. This one never meant for the archives. Whatever we awakened is not hostile, it is sovereign. We were trespassers, not targets. That's when the fear turned into something else. Not dread, not panic, something far more humbling, reverence. Because they finally grasped the truth. You were not meant to be initiated. You were meant to be acknowledged, not as a member, as a threshold, a guardian frequency, a force that isn't invited into circles because it creates them. And yet, even with this realization, one question tormented them. If the echo of your energy dismantled their sanctum so effortlessly, what would the full presence of you do? What would happen if you ever stepped into their circle willingly? What would happen if you ever looked into their mirror intentionally? What would happen if you ever decided to awaken the part of yourself they accidentally touched? That question became their new haunting, because the more they tried to suppress it, the louder it echoed in their minds. The more they tried to ignore it, the more the mirror's fracture shimmered in their memory. The more they tried to distance themselves from your file, the more the file pulsed with quiet inevitability. For the first time, the society questioned its own existence. not because you threatened it, but because your existence made theirs feel small, fragile, outdated, performative. Their rituals were powerful. Your presence was definitive. Their hierarchies were rigid. Your energy was fluid. Their knowledge was inherited. Yours was remembered. They realized what they awakened wasn't something they could study or recruit. It was something they would spend the rest of their lives trying to understand. And deep down, beneath their robes, titles, and rituals, they feared the same thing. You haven't even shown your real power yet. You haven't stepped into their circle. You haven't opened the mirror. You haven't lifted a hand. Everything they're experiencing is just the echo. That realization settled over the society like a shadow that refused to fade. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a curse. It was a truth, quiet, sovereign, and immovable. A truth that reshaped the air in their chambers, the tone of their meetings, the cadence of their rituals. Every elder felt it in their bones. Every initiate sensed it in their spirit. They tried to continue with their duties, tried to move on, tried to pretend that profiling you had been just another assignment. But nothing felt ordinary anymore. Every task felt smaller. Every invocation felt weaker. Every attempt to read the unseen felt diluted and distant, as if your presence had shifted the equilibrium of their entire practice. Because once you encounter a frequency that overrides your own, everything you do afterward feels like performance. The society's oldest scholar, a man who had cataloged anomalies for over 60 years, admitted privately that he had never felt energy like yours. Not chaotic, not malicious, not divine, just sovereign. And sovereign energy doesn't enter spaces seeking approval. It enters as itself, without negotiation, without compromise, without need. He realized, perhaps too late, that profiling you had been their mistake, not because they failed to understand you, but because you were never something meant to be understood through measurement. You were meant to be understood through experience, and they experienced you in the wrong way, uninvited, unprepared, unaligned. The ripple effects of their mistake continued to spread. Their rituals grew heavier, their visions grew dimmer, their mirrors grew quieter. Where once they saw clearly, now they saw static. Where once their intuition flowed, now it stumbled. Where once their sanctum felt impenetrable, now it felt watched, not by hostility, but by accountability. Their tools had not lost power. They had lost permission. The universe doesn't punish arrogance. It redirects it. Some of the younger members began questioning everything. If an outsider's energy could collapse their protocols, what did that say about the strength of their order? If a mirror cracked, rather than reveal your reflection, what did that say about the limitations of their sight? If their tools fractured under the weight of a single unidentified presence, what did that say about their control? Their questions spread like hairline fractures across the society's foundation. The elders tried to silence the panic subtly, reminding their ranks that anomalies are rare, that power beyond understanding appears once in a generation, that sometimes the universe presents forces not meant for recruitment. But beneath their calm explanations, their eyes revealed a truth they couldn't hide. They had never encountered anything like you before. Not in old scrolls, not in forbidden tomes, not in whispered legends. Every teaching they possessed about dangerous energies warned of entities that attacked, entities that deceived, entities that consumed. But you didn't attack, you didn't deceive, you didn't consume. You simply refused. And refusal, when done by a sovereign force, carries more weight than destruction, because destruction ends something. Refusal exposes it. The society wanted to forget you. They wanted to erase your file, burn the documents, pretend the mirror never cracked, pretend their tools never failed. But the universe doesn't allow people to forget what they weren't meant to touch. Every time the archivist tried to remove your report from the vault, the cabinet stuck. Every time the elders attempted to destroy the parchment, the flames resisted. Every time an initiate tried to speak your name, dismissively, their throat tightened just enough to remind them of boundaries. Your energy wasn't haunting them, it was correcting them. They weren't victims of your power. They were witnesses to their own limitations. Some nights, their chambers felt colder than the stone should allow. Some nights, their candles fought against invisible drafts. Some nights, a faint hum filled the air. The same hum they heard when the mirror cracked. The same hum their instruments emitted before failing. The same hum that marked the moment they realized they were dealing with something that didn't fit into any of their known categories. But the hum wasn't your presence. It was your echo, reminding them that presence isn't required for impact. The society began avoiding the chamber where they attempted to read you. Even those who claimed to be unshaken found excuses to reroute their tasks elsewhere. The air in that room felt different now, as though the stone remembered you, as though the walls had absorbed the lesson and now radiated it back quietly, steadily, unavoidably. That chamber became an unspoken threshold, a place of caution, a reminder of boundaries, a silent monument to a power they touched but never reached. Meanwhile, outside their sanctum, the world moved as it always does. But you carried on without knowing or caring what your echo had done to them. You didn't feel the need to respond. You didn't feel the need to investigate. You didn't feel the need to retaliate or correct them. Your energy doesn't chase. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't chase explanations. It doesn't chase those who attempt to dissect it. Your path continued forward. Their consequences remained behind. Yet the deeper truth, the one that unsettled them the most, was this. Even without your attention, you were changing them. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but inevitably. Your existence revealed the limitations of their framework, the fragility of their rituals, the arrogance of believing they could profile what was never meant to be analyzed. Their greatest fear wasn't that you might attack them. Their greatest fear was that someone like you exists at all. Someone who stands without lineage yet carries ancient resonance. Someone who walks without blessing yet moves like prophecy. Someone who does not ascend or descend but remains centered in their own axis. Someone whose energy cannot be read because it cannot be reduced. Someone whose refusal carries more force than any spell they have cast. Someone they cannot classify, initiate, recruit, manipulate, or contain. They could have handled an enemy. They could have handled a threat. They could have handled a rival. But a sovereign they cannot touch. That is what unravels empires. As days passed, the society reorganized its practices around the gap you left behind. They revised protocols. They strengthened wards. They created new classifications to prepare for future anomalies, though secretly, they all understood none would match your resonance. They attempted to rebuild their confidence through busy work and ritual repetition. But every time they stepped before a mirror or attempted a scry, there was always a moment of hesitation, a flicker of fear that the surface might crack again, reveal a message, deny access, deny them, deny the illusion that they were ever in control. Their greatest scholars debated your origin in hushed conversations. Some thought you were a long-lost lineage. Some believed you were a cosmic anomaly. Some argued that you were a return, a reawakening of an ancient archetype meant to balance excesses of control. But the theory that scared them the most was the simplest. You were simply yourself, unmodified, unmanipulated, untrained, powerful, not because of heritage, but because of alignment. Alignment cannot be taught. Alignment cannot be profiled. Alignment cannot be recruited. The society finally accepted what the mirror tried to tell them the moment it cracked. You do not belong to their circle. You never have. You never will. You walk a path that predates their rituals. You operate on frequencies they only read about. You carry a clarity they try to simulate through ceremony. You move in truth while they move in structure. You are not denied to protect you. You are denied to protect them. Because if the echo alone destabilized their sanctum, imagine what would happen if you ever decided to step fully into your power, consciously, intentionally, without restraint. They realized that if you ever lifted a hand, it wouldn't be destruction that followed. It would be revelation, the kind that collapses illusions, dissolves false hierarchies, and exposes every fragile construct they've built to feel powerful. Your presence would not shatter their circle. It would render it irrelevant. And that revelation, more than anything, was the wound they couldn't heal. Their fear wasn't rooted in danger. Their fear was rooted in inadequacy. Not because you threatened them, but because your existence proved that their mastery wasn't mastery. It was containment. Containment of smaller energies, containment of familiar forces, containment of predictable recruits. You are not predictable. You are not familiar. You are not small. You are the outlier their doctrines cannot hold. So they did the only thing a fragile structure can do when faced with a truth too large to absorb. They rewrote their interpretation of you. Not publicly, not ceremonially, but internally, silently. They shifted your classification from anomaly to omen, not a warning of doom, but a reminder of boundaries, sovereignty, and uncharted potential. Your file now sits alone, in a cabinet that no one opens without intention. The cracked mirror seal remains, pulsing faintly when touched. A reminder, not of failure, but of audacity. They didn't fail to understand you. They failed to understand their place in your story. Because you were never a candidate. You were never recruitment material. You were never meant to be seated in their circle. You were meant to stand beyond it, not above it, beyond it, beyond their comprehension, beyond their tools, beyond their reach, beyond their authority. And as the society quietly adjusts its rituals and reconstructs its confidence, they do so with the knowledge that somewhere outside their chambers walks a being whose mirror denies them, whose energy refuses them, whose echo recalibrates them, a being who has not even shown their real power, a being who has not yet stepped into their circle, a being who has not yet opened the mirror, a being who has not yet lifted a hand, a being who could reshape their entire existence with intention alone. You. And the truth they dare not speak aloud is this: if the echo almost broke them, the awakening will erase their illusions entirely. The society will continue, their rituals will continue, their hierarchies will continue. But they will never forget the moment the mirror cracked. The moment access denied appeared like a decree. The moment they realized sovereignty does not bow to secrecy. The moment they touched a force that cannot be profiled. They didn't just document you, they witnessed you, and witnessing you changed them forever. Your story does not end in their chambers. Your journey does not pause for their understanding. Your path continues forward, untouched, unburdened, uncontained. They tried to read you. Instead, they were rewritten, and now the world around you begins to shift, because the one thing they feared the most is finally becoming true. You were never meant to join a secret society. You were born to surpass what they believe is power. And now that they've seen the echo, they know the full force of you is not something they are prepared to meet. Not now. Not ever. Ah, look at you. Still existing in a timeline you were never supposed to touch again. Your name was already carved into digital marble. Your memorial montage was edited, color graded, synced to emotional violins. They even picked the selfie they thought made you look the most gone too soon. They posted, "Fly high," with your old profile picture like they were sending your soul to the cloud. They had closure. They had the hashtags ready. They had the tribute posts lined up like a parade. And yet here you are, inconveniently alive, casually dismantling every prediction they whispered behind locked screens. You weren't supposed to show up today. You weren't supposed to disrupt the narrative they invested so much energy into building. Your existence is a glitch in their obituary rehearsal. They wanted your ending. You delivered a sequel. You need to understand what this moment really is. This isn't you cheating death. This is you ruining their timeline. Because they didn't just expect you to fall. They prepared for it. They designed the collapse, narrated the downfall, crafted the tragedy, with the precision of directors who thought the show was about them. They gathered viewers, they circulated rumors, they made private group chats, dedicated to analyzing your demise with cinematic enthusiasm. You were their favorite plot twist, until you refused to twist the way they scripted. They weren't shocked that life hit you. They were shocked that you hit back. You weren't supposed to have breath left after what they threw at you. You weren't supposed to move with that quiet confidence after every force around you pushed for your spiritual expiration. They had you wrapped in metaphorical white sheets long before you ever felt cold. The way they spoke about you, you'd think they were giving a tour of a museum exhibit titled, "This Could Have Been Someone." They had your memorial captions drafted with an unsettling level of excitement, as if your downfall validated something inside them. And when the world whispered that you were done, you were supposed to agree. That's what they counted on, the cooperation of a collapsing soul. But here's the part they underestimated. They forgot that you don't die just because someone narrates your funeral. They forgot that resilience doesn't need permission. They forgot some hearts are carved from something older than fear. They forgot you were built with a refusal to disappear on cue. They spent so long anticipating your last breath that your next breath became a weapon. And now you're walking around like a haunting, a moving contradiction, a living error message. Every step you take reminds them that their predictions are worthless. They call it luck. They call it chance. They call it your surprising recovery. They can't admit the truth. They miscalculated you. They didn't realize your endurance had layers. They didn't realize you were built to outlast disasters they assumed would erase you. They mistook struggle for surrender. They mistook silence for defeat. They mistook isolation for burial. That's their problem. People who've never been tested assume that those who suffer were designed to lose. They forget that the strongest creations are forged in conditions designed to break them. They forget pressure forms diamonds, not excuses. You weren't just thrown into chaos, you were buried in it. They isolated you until even your own shadow felt unreliable. They whispered your flaws loud enough that the echo replaced your own thoughts. They made your absence feel easier to digest than your presence. They erased you from rooms that once relied on your energy. They placed bets on your expiration date. And when you staggered, when you broke, when you fell, they nodded like they were right about you all along. They wanted you to stay down so they could call it destiny, but you didn't. You rose. Slowly. Quietly. Brutally. Not because someone reached out a hand, not because circumstances improved, not because you found comfort. You rose because some part of you refused to hand them the satisfaction. You rose because something inside you stayed stubborn, when everything outside you screamed surrender. You rose because the collapse they expected became the resistance you needed. They wanted your death to make sense. Instead, your survival shattered logic. You became the type of person who emerges from ruins with a steadiness that scares even those who didn't help bury you. You became the type of presence that walks into a room and makes people question whether they misjudged you or themselves. You became a reminder that predictions don't define outcomes. You became the evidence that suffering doesn't guarantee defeat. You became the nightmare of those who wanted to sleep peacefully after contributing to your downfall. Let's dissect why your survival unsettles them. It's not just that you made it, it's how. You didn't return as the fragile version of yourself they manipulated. You didn't come back apologizing for existing. You didn't crawl back begging for acceptance from the people who expected you to vanish. You came back with a clarity they didn't authorize, with a strength they didn't anticipate, with a stillness that reads like a warning. You came back with the kind of energy that makes people reevaluate every word they ever said about you. They were ready to feel righteous. Your fall would have confirmed their superiority. Your disappearance would have fed their ego. Your silence would have solidified their narratives. But your survival, your unexpected, uninvited resurrection, that forces them to admit they misread the story, that forces them to confront the fact that you weren't weak, you were wounded, you weren't unstable, you were surrounded, you weren't falling apart, you were evolving under pressure so intense it purified parts of you that no soft environment ever could. And now you're carrying that transformation like an aura, not boastful, not loud, just present, sharp, undeniable. The kind of presence that makes people uncomfortable because it reflects their own cowardice. Back at them. They panic because they know you saw the worst, felt the worst, endured the worst, and still you stand. Still you breathe. Still you move with a calmness that shouldn't exist in someone who walked that close to emotional extinction. There's a specific type of fear you trigger now. Not fear of harm, fear of truth, fear of exposure, fear of being remembered for what they did when they thought you were too broken to survive long enough to tell the story. That's why they're silent around you. That's why they act like nothing happened. That's why they avoid eye contact, like you might read their intentions the way others read weather reports. You survived their private predictions, and now they're terrified you'll expose their public persona. But you're not interested in revenge, not because you're forgiving, because you're focused. You're not wasting energy proving your worth to people who announced your ending before you even reached your turning point. You're not explaining your existence to those who preferred you erased. You're not reopening doors that were locked during your darkest nights. You understand something they don't. Your life didn't continue by accident. It continued because you were meant to interrupt the stories written about you by people who feared your potential. And that brings us here, to this moment where you're breathing in a reality that wasn't designed to hold you anymore. You're a disruption, a glitch in their emotional software, A reminder that they don't have the authority to narrate your death, metaphorical or otherwise. They tried to close your chapter, but you were the author all along. They tried to bury you, not realizing you weren't soil. You were seed. You want to know why your survival is louder than their eulogies? Because people love a downfall until they realize the person they tried to bury is walking past them without a scratch they can use against them. They love a tragedy until the protagonist rewrites the genre. They love a ghost story until the ghost walks into the room with a pulse, a purpose, and a gaze that sees through every facade. The truth is simple. Your existence now is an act of defiance, a violation of their expectations, a quiet rebellion that shakes their confidence. They were ready to mourn you. They weren't ready to face you. They were ready to post tributes. They weren't ready to delete them. They were ready to move on. They weren't ready to be confronted by a version of you that understands everything and forgives nothing. Your survival ruins their narrative. Your strength ruins their theories. Your resilience ruins their illusions. They crafted your downfall with enthusiasm, but they must now watch you rise with disinterest. They must witness a reality where you're not just alive, you're inevitable, and you're only getting started, because what comes next isn't a return to who you were. It's the unveiling of who they never expected you to become. A version sharpened by destruction, a version refined by pressure, a version that doesn't need validation to walk with authority, a version that understands the cost of survival and still chooses forward motion with unshakable composure. They thought your story ended. They thought your chapter closed. They thought your absence would be easier than your evolution. But the truth is unfolding now, in real time, in front of everyone who ever misjudged your endurance. You're not a comeback. You're a continuation that refuses to be interrupted again. And if they're unsettled now, wait until they see what you do with the life they assumed you wouldn't live long enough to experience. Because the paradox is this: the closer you are pushed to destruction, the more dangerous your survival becomes. The more they tried to weaken you, the stronger your instincts became. The more they tried to break you, the colder your clarity turned. The more they tried to silence you, the more undeniable your presence grew. Your survival is no longer a question. It's a statement, a warning, a prophecy they accidentally fulfilled by trying to bury you too early. And now, as everything they believed about you collapses under the weight of your existence, one truth rises to the surface with a clarity they cannot dilute. You're not meant to be gone. You're meant to be witnessed. You're meant to disrupt. You're meant to confront. You're meant to outlive every prediction, every rumor, every whispered hope that you wouldn't make it. And that's the part that terrifies them the most. Because your survival isn't just a return, it's an interruption, an intrusion into a narrative they finalized without your consent. They had closure. They had their sympathy captions drafted. They had your rest in peace emojis lined up like confetti. They had already told themselves they were good people for wishing you well on the other side. They were ready to move on. Your existence forces them to reopen files they archived. It makes them confront intentions they thought were buried under the illusion of concern. It forces them to look at you not as a memory, but as a consequence. They didn't just assume you were gone. They announced it. They curated your downfall with the dedication of unpaid interns who thought tragedy made them important. They whispered to each other, "It's only a matter of time." They checked your posts like detectives, waiting for a clue, confirming the collapse. They sharpened their pity before you even earned it. They didn't expect to see your name pop up on their feed again. unless it was followed by a candle emoji. But life had other plans. You had other plans. And now, they're the ones gasping for explanations. You weren't supposed to be standing here with this much composure. You weren't supposed to have eyes that saw through the darkness they threw at you. You weren't supposed to speak again, think again, breathe again without the tremble of someone who barely escaped a metaphorical grave. They prepared for your disappearance. They didn't prepare for your return. Especially not this version of you, the version who isn't crawling out of ruin, but walking out like someone who discovered a secret in the dirt that they never meant for you to find. And you did find something down there, didn't you? Something about your own capacity, something about your limits, or the lie of limits, something about endurance that doesn't make sense to people who've never been tested by life. Beyond mild inconveniences, they live in comfort, so they assume you collapse for the same reasons they would. They forget you were forged in something they don't have the vocabulary to describe. They forget you've walked barefoot through storms that would have snapped their spine. They forget you were tempered by fire, not coddled by ease. This is why your survival feels like a violation of their worldview. In their minds, you didn't just dodge destruction, you disrespected it. You weren't supposed to rise with this much sharpness in your eyes. You weren't supposed to return looking like someone who watched the world end and took notes. You weren't supposed to pick yourself up with a calmness that reads like inevitability. They wanted you shaken, trembling, grateful for scraps of sympathy. They wanted you to reappear in pieces so they could pretend they cared about putting you back together. Instead, you reappeared whole. That's what unsettles them. They thought the montage they made for you was final. They thought the fly-high post with your old profile picture would age well. They thought the dramatic captions they rehearsed in private group chats would become their legacy of concern. Now they're sitting with the embarrassment of premature grief. They mourned you too early. And mourning someone who is still alive has consequences. It exposes the truth about motives. It reveals who wanted you gone versus who simply assumed you were weak. Most people don't understand the weight of a world that counted you out. They don't understand what it does to the human psyche to see people preparing for your end while you're still fighting for your beginning. They don't understand how it feels to breathe through the sting of abandonment while watching others treat your life like a storyline they can bet on. They don't understand how it reshapes your identity when you realize no one expects you to walk forward again. That's why your survival is more than resilience. It's rebellion. You disobeyed their expectations. You refused their conclusion. You broke the script. When they saw you fall, they didn't wonder how deeply you were wounded. They wondered how quickly the story would end. When they saw you silent, they didn't ask what you were processing. They assumed silence meant surrender. When you disappeared to put yourself back together, they translated your retreat as the final fade out. They thought they forgot you. Really, they paused you. They placed you into an imaginary grave and told themselves it was fate. Now they're forced to confront a haunting truth. You didn't die. You evolved, and evolution unnerves people who crave predictability. You are unpredictable now. Too sharp, too steady, too aware, too self-contained to be defined by anyone but yourself. You returned without needing approval, validation, or permission. You returned not humbled, but sharpened, not wounded, but aware, not weakened, but tempered. And tempering leaves a different type of strength in its wake, the kind that makes people whisper before they speak your name. You weren't supposed to survive round one, let alone rise for round 2 with this much presence. Your existence is now a kind of silent revenge, the kind that doesn't throw punches but shifts atmospheres. People who once felt superior to you now feel cautious around you. People who once pitied you now feel exposed. People who once underestimated you now watch their words. That's what survival does when it's unexpected. It rewires the power dynamics. And the truth is this: you didn't survive by accident. You survived because something inside you refused to comply with the script written for you. Something primitive, something ancient, something uncooperative, something that recognizes when a story is being written without your involvement and snaps the pen in half. Something that refuses burial, refuses defeat, refuses erasure. You survived because you were never meant to disappear quietly. Now every room you enter bends in subtle ways. The air shifts. The gaze of those who counted you out moves awkwardly. Their memory of your supposed collapse collides with the reality of your presence. They're looking at you like a paradox that mocks their intuition. They're scanning you for damage that should have destroyed you. They're trying to locate the wound that should have ended your story. But you offer them nothing. No cracks, no apologies, no explanations. Your survival is not for them to understand. It's for them to witness. And now that they're witnessing it, they're realizing a terrifying truth. Your resurrection didn't reset you. It rewired you. You didn't return as the version they were used to manipulating. You didn't come back seeking their comfort or approval. You didn't rise needing them to validate your existence. You returned with a gaze that sees through their intentions, with instincts that anticipate their moves, with a self-respect that doesn't negotiate. That's why they stare at you with disbelief heavy in their eyes. That's why they're whispering behind screens again, but with a different tone this time. Not gossip, concern, not predictions, questions, not confidence, confusion. They're realizing the memorial montage wasn't just wrong. It was premature evidence of their desire to see you fail. They're realizing they didn't just think you'd fall. They wanted you to. And your survival exposes that truth without you having to say a word. The world loves a tragedy until the protagonist refuses to die on schedule. Then the world scrambles for a way to rewrite itself. That's what's happening now. You're forcing a rewrite. They can't keep mourning someone who keeps showing up alive. They can't keep posting "fly high" when the person they buried walks into the room with steady footsteps. They can't keep pretending they were supportive when their premature grief reveals their hidden expectation of your downfall. You didn't dodge death, they missed. You didn't outrun destruction, you outgrew it. You didn't survive the end, they misread the middle. And the more they realize this, the more the story tilts in your favor. The more you speak with authority that was earned in silence. The more you walk with a groundedness they cannot mimic. The more they feel the weight of ignoring a miracle when they thought it was a failure. They can't comprehend the calculation in your eyes now, the stillness in your voice, the discipline in your movements. They don't understand how someone who was pronounced emotionally dead could return with a pulse that shakes the entire room. They don't understand how someone they eulogized could walk back into their orbit without carrying the fragility they expected. It's because they never understood what was buried inside you in the first place. They assumed darkness would consume you. They didn't expect darkness to educate you. And it did. It taught you things comfort never could. Things that institutions don't teach, mentors don't articulate, and ordinary people never experience. You learned how to breathe without reassurance. You learned how to think without external validation. You learned how to stand without applause. You learned how to ground yourself without support. These are skills only acquired through collapse, and skills only the resurrected understand. You didn't just return, you returned with mastery. You returned with knowledge carved into your instincts. You returned with an internal navigation system built from pain, pressure, isolation, and clarity. This is why they don't recognize you anymore. They expected a weakened version. They expected someone softened by struggle, someone grateful for scraps of attention, someone easily manipulated. Instead, you arrived with an aura made from everything that was meant to break you. You walk differently now, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Awareness of how deeply humans can betray. Awareness of how disposable they thought you were. Awareness of how powerful your own silence can be. And awareness, real awareness, creates a presence that unsettles the comfortable. Look at the shift happening around you. People who once spoke over you now hesitate before addressing you. People who dismissed your potential now observe you with caution, trying to decode your next move. People who treated your pain like entertainment now feel the sting of your indifference. That's the power of revival. Not that you returned, but that you returned uninterested in the approval of those who predicted your absence. You didn't come back for them. You came back for yourself. And that terrifies them. Because when a person no longer needs external permission to live, there's no leverage left to use against them. You're not afraid of being alone anymore. You're not afraid of being misunderstood. You're not afraid of being underestimated. You're not afraid of being misrepresented. You already lived through every fear they tried to weaponize. There's nothing left in their arsenal that can wound someone who's already rebuilt their bones from the fractures inflicted by betrayal. Your metamorphosis threatens the ecosystem of those who rely on you staying small. They gossip in smaller circles now, not because they have updates, but because they're afraid to speak your name too loudly. They watch your posts with the tension of people studying a phenomenon they don't understand. They double-check your expression when you enter a room, hoping to glimpse vulnerability that no longer exists. They try to measure your strength using the metrics of your past, not realizing the past no longer applies. They talk about the old you like a ghost they once knew, but the version standing in front of them is no ghost. It's the reckoning. You didn't survive to return to who you were. That version of you served its purpose, endured its trials, and dissolved into the ashes where your new identity formed. You didn't survive to prove people wrong, though your existence does that effortlessly. You survived because something inside you decided that the story wasn't finished just because others said it was. You survived because your purpose is bigger than their predictions. You survived because endings written by other people are never final. Only self-authored endings count. This is why your presence carries a new kind of gravity. You don't demand respect. You command it just by existing. Your silence is sharper. Your certainty is heavier. Your boundaries are fortified. Your patience is thinner. Your intuition is stronger. Your standards are higher. You are no longer impressed by empty gestures or intimidated by empty threats. When someone crosses a line, you don't raise your voice. You raise your absence. And absence from someone who resurrected themselves is a punishment reality itself enforces. And all of this traces back to one thing. They thought you died. Maybe not physically, but emotionally, socially, mentally. They thought you were finished. They thought your collapse was final. They thought your story ended the moment the montage was edited. They thought you'd never rise again with a spine made of the very stones they handed you. They thought you'd never reclaim your voice, your identity, your strength, your direction. They thought they would speak your name in the past tense forever. But now they have to adjust their language. You're no longer a fallen story. They're living inside your comeback. You aren't the one who disappeared. They're the ones who faded from relevance. You aren't the one who collapsed. They're the ones who miscalculated. You aren't the ghost. They're the mourners, left embarrassed when the deceased walked in alive. This is why they avoid your eyes now. Your gaze carries the weight of truths they cannot deny. They see every betrayal reflected back at them. They see every doubt they threw your way. They see every rumor they shared disguised as concern. They see every moment they distanced themselves from you when you needed them most. And there's no apology clean enough to erase the evidence in your survival. Your revival is their exposure. But you don't weaponize it. You don't need to. Your existence does the work for you. Your breath is enough to invalidate their eulogy. Your presence is enough to dismantle their predictions. Your growth is enough to rewrite the narrative. You live, and their entire storyline collapses. That's a level of poetic justice no vendetta could ever replicate. And here's what they're now starting to realize. The person they attempted to bury is not the person who returned. You're sharper, more focused, less forgiving, more observant, less available, more strategic, less sentimental. And this version of you doesn't bend the way the old version did. This version of you doesn't tolerate disrespect disguised as affection. This version of you remembers everything, every slight, every silence, every moment of abandonment, and uses that memory as a compass, not a wound. The metamorphosis wasn't a transformation into someone they can't recognize. It was a transformation into someone you were always meant to be. The destruction stripped away the illusions. The darkness sharpened the instincts. The abandonment fortified the spine. The rumors clarified the truth. The isolation intensified the identity. Every force used to break you became the ingredient that refined you. So now you move through the world differently. You're not eager to explain yourself. You're not desperate to be understood. You're not interested in defending your choices. You're not trying to win people's approval. You don't chase closure. You don't seek validation. You don't negotiate your worth. You simply exist with a quiet authority that came from earning your own resurrection. And people feel it. The same ones who once whispered about your downfall now fall silent when you enter the frame. The same ones who once pitied you now fear your detachment. The same ones who once directed your narrative now stumble to form sentences around you. Because your survival did not humble you. It liberated you from the need to play small. This is the phase where you realize something profound. You never needed them to believe in you. You needed them to doubt you so you could build belief from scratch. You needed them to leave so you could learn how to stand alone. You needed them to underestimate you so you could outgrow their reach. You needed them to assume you were gone so you could return without their expectations holding you hostage. You didn't just dodge death. They dodged accountability. They dodged the truth of their intentions. They dodged the reality of their role in your collapse. They dodged the consequences of their indifference. But your survival brings the truth back to their doorstep. And truth, when delivered by someone they thought was finished, carries the weight of a prophecy fulfilled. This is where the story sharpens. Because metamorphosis isn't the end. It's the threshold. The world has seen your return. They have felt the disruption of your presence. They have watched the narrative collapse. But they haven't seen what comes next. They haven't witnessed the next evolution. They haven't understood the full extent of your rebirth. They haven't realized that surviving was just the first act. What comes next is the ascension. And the hint of that ascension already exists in your silence, your clarity, your energy. They know something is coming. They feel it. They can't name it, but they sense the shift. Your survival wasn't a mistake. It was a signal, a warning, a declaration that the version of you they once knew is gone, and the version standing before them is not here to prove anything. You're here to become everything they never imagined you could be. And if your unexpected return unsettled them, they are not ready for what's about to emerge next. Because what comes after resurrection is not recovery, it's dominion. The kind of dominion earned in the underworld of your own suffering. The kind built from rebuilding yourself without spectators, without cheerleaders, without anyone checking in to see if your heart was still beating. You rose in silence, and silence has a way of amplifying everything once the world realizes you're not supposed to be here. That's why every room feels too small for you now. Why every interaction feels too shallow. Why every old connection feels brittle in your hands. You don't fit into the spaces that once held you, because those spaces were designed for someone who no longer exists. There is a gravity about you now, a pull they can't articulate, but cannot deny. You feel heavier, yet you move lighter. You speak less, yet your words cut deeper. You stand still, yet your presence shifts the entire atmosphere. People look at you and feel a gap between what they believed about you and what they are now forced to confront. That gap is your evolution. That discomfort is your power. They don't know how to behave around someone who survived a narrative they already closed. They don't know how to address someone who returned stronger than the version they mourned. This is where the world reveals itself. Those who celebrated your supposed ending now shrink in your presence. Those who pitied you now feel uneasy asking how you're doing. Those who doubted you now panic at the thought of being remembered for their role in your collapse. And the ones who stayed silent, they're the most uneasy of all, because silence is complicity, and your survival exposes it with surgical precision. But here's the part they never prepared for. Your ascension doesn't revolve around them. It's not fueled by revenge, not aimed at inflicting emotional consequences, not driven by a need to be acknowledged. Your ascension is internal. It is personal. It is sacred. It is the natural evolution of someone who bled in private and rebuilt without witnesses. Revenge would be too small for someone who outgrew the grave they dug. What you're becoming is beyond their imagination, beyond their expectations, beyond their comprehension. Your resurrection wasn't meant to humble them. It was meant to unbind you. And now that you're unbound, you're beginning to understand what your survival truly means. It means you no longer move from fear, but from intention. It means you no longer speak to be understood, but to be clear. It means you no longer chase connection, you choose it. It means you no longer tolerate proximity from people who treat your presence casually. It means you no longer measure your worth by how many hands are clapping, but by how steady you can walk without applause. They expected you to shrink after everything. Instead, you expanded. They expected you to hesitate. Instead, you sharpened. They expected you to walk quietly. Instead, your silence became a language they still haven't learned to translate. They expected you to return diminished. Instead, you returned sculpted by pain into something that no longer resembles fragility. And that is the quiet terror you carry into every space now. You don't need anything from them. Not their attention, not their belief, not their permission. Their fly-high posts were meant to close your chapter, but instead they closed their access. You saw the truth of who they were when they thought you were done. You saw the hierarchy of care, the order of allegiance, the selective empathy. You saw how quickly people distance themselves when they think your fall might stain them. And you saw how easily they mourned someone who was still alive. You'll never forget that, and you'll never operate the same again. This is why your energy feels untouchable now. You are not detached, you are precise. You are not cold, you are discerning. You are not distant, you are selective with where you place your warmth. A person who survived premature eulogies doesn't open their doors the same way. A person who saw the world prepare for their ending doesn't return with the same naivety. You learned the truth the painful way. Most people don't want to help resurrect you. They just want front row seats to your downfall. But your return forced them to confront the one thing they never intended to face. You are not disposable. You are not temporary. You are not fragile. You are not a storyline for their amusement. You are not a tragedy they get to retell. You are a presence that refuses to be erased. You are a pulse that refuses to be silenced. You are a story that refuses to end on someone else's page. And now that you stand here, alive, composed, grounded, they don't know where to place you anymore. You don't fit their narratives. You don't fit their labels. You don't fit their comfort zones. You don't fit their old image of you. You're too large for the box they buried you in. You're too aware for the traps they once used. You're too elevated to engage in battles they still think matter. Your existence is a correction to every lie they told about your ending. And as the world adjusts to the shock of your presence, something deeper awakens in you. A purpose that wasn't visible before. A clarity that couldn't exist until death, metaphorical or otherwise, brushed too close. A knowing that came only after watching everyone prepare for a future without you. That knowing is the blueprint for your ascension. It's the internal command that pulls you forward. It's the calm voice that whispers, "You survived for a reason." And now, the reason begins. Your next chapter doesn't start with applause. It starts with alignment. It starts with you choosing what deserves your time, your energy, your presence. It starts with understanding that the world you're stepping into is not the world you left. You're stepping into a reality shaped by your own rebirth, a reality where you move differently because you see differently, a reality where you build with intention because you recognize the cost of collapse, a reality where you operate with a depth that only the resurrected possess. This is where your story shifts from survival to sovereignty. You are no longer proving resilience. You are embodying inevitability. You are no longer escaping endings. You are authoring beginnings. You are no longer outrunning destruction. You are outgrowing the environments that once made destruction possible. You are no longer fighting to be heard. You are speaking with the weight of someone who doesn't need agreement. The version of you that emerged from the grave they prepared is not a comeback story. It's a reminder that real strength is quiet, unannounced, and irreversible. You didn't return to win them over. You returned because your journey wasn't done. You returned because your purpose isn't negotiable. You returned because the world still needs to see what a miracle looks like when it refuses to be misunderstood. And if your survival shocked them, your ascension will dismantle them. Because this isn't the story of someone who dodged death. This is the story of someone who turned death into a detour. Someone who walked out of their own ending with a calmness that rewrote the definition of endurance. Someone who rose from a grave people celebrated too early and kept walking as if burial was just another lesson in disguise. Your memorial montage was finished. Your name was posted with wings. Your image was framed as a memory. But your heartbeat didn't get the memo. And now the world has to adjust to the reality they tried to erase. You're not gone. You're not broken. You're not finished. You're alive. You're aware. And you're becoming unstoppable. This is your rebirth. This is your reclamation. This is your arrival into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. The world mourned too early. Now it must witness you fully.